good time. And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. In a new interview, CNN anchor Caitlin Collins said that President Trump is, quote, such an accessible president. I know, isn't it great? Said this guy. In the same interview, CNN anchor Caitlin Collins said that President Trump does not sleep. You mean at night? Because otherwise I got to fact check you. During a press conference on Monday, President Trump said it's important to allow AI companies to build their own power plants rather than siphon energy off the regional grid, and added, quote, our grid is so old and tired. Yeah, we'd hate for something old and tired to be running things. The restaurant chain Razzo's Cajun Cafe has filed for bankruptcy. Well, I'm no business expert, but what probably happened here was nobody ever heard of it. Not Razzo's. Where should we get our takeout gumbo? A woman recently won a video game tournament in Florida just 5 days after giving birth, and frankly, I'm more impressed that someone who's that good at video games had sex. Three men were recently rescued from a cave in England after they were stuck for more than 30 hours. Even crazier, they didn't realize it was a cave. They just thought it was a pub with terrible service. Oi! IKEA has announced plans to build a small format store in Manhattan that will be 25,000 square feet. No word yet on when it'll open. It's got like a jillion pieces, and all they give you is like one tiny Allen wrench. And finally, Starbucks has unveiled its holiday menu, which includes a new polar bear cake pop and cinnamon pull-apart bread, while Dunkin' has introduced their new bacon, egg, and reindeer. And that was a monologue, everybody. Got a wonderful show for you tonight. She's an Emmy-nominated actress you know from Bridesmaids, Neighbors, Damages, and Platonic. Currently, she's starring in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which is in select theaters today and opens nationwide October 24th. Our friend Rose Byrne is back on the show, everybody. They are Emmy award-winning MLB Network analysts who played a combined 28 seasons across 12 different teams. Watch their postseason coverage on MLB Central and MLB Tonight. Sean Casey and Mark DeRosa are joining us. And he is a very funny comedian and actor. His debut stand-up special, Model Comedian, is great. It's streaming on HBO Max. Caleb Heron is also here. So excited. First time for Caleb. We got a great show tonight. But before we get to it, you guys, it's officially fall. Everyone's planning their Halloween costumes, their leaf-peeping trips, and, well, that includes my writers, you know? They write hundreds of jokes every day just to get the 10 or 12 we use in the monologue, and honestly, a lot of those jokes just aren't good. Sometimes I think they throw in a few stinkers on purpose just to fill the page, just to meet the assignment. But just because it's getting dark earlier every day, that doesn't mean we can tolerate laziness, which means it's time for another surprise inspection. So here's how this works. I'm gonna read, you know what? I don't usually do this in surprise inspection, but I'm gonna immediately burn Cue Card Wally. If we can get a camera on Wally for how this works. Do you think you couldn't get inspected, Wally?
I thought I was free and clear.
All right. Here's how this works. Although I know people do say it both ways. I'm gonna read some real jokes really submitted by my writers. Some are dumb, some are offensive, some are just insane. Most importantly, my writers don't know we're doing this, and because they don't watch the show, they'll never know. Let's get started. Authorities in Berlin are looking for a loose wallaby, and although they look similar, it's a completely different animal than a slutty kangaroo. Brian wrote that joke. That's Brian. And I would say, without fail, anytime there's a news story about a loose animal, he uses loose to mean of low sexual morals. Today was National Hair Day. This news first reported by everyone in New Jersey's back. So, Mike Scollins wrote that joke. Mike's a bad guy, and he will write the worst jokes. Over the course of this, you will meet other writers, and you will think, that is the worst joke. I just assure you, it will always end with Mike Scollins having told the worst joke. I'm in the future, and I already know that's how it ends. A ride at a California high school carnival called the Zipper recently malfunctioned, and riders were stuck for at least an hour. Still not the worst thing that can happen when a zipper gets stuck. All right, first of all, Matt wrote that joke. That's Matt. Obviously, Matt got to choose his picture. And yet, can we go back to my picture? Like, did we have to choose a picture where I was so happy about it? It happened again. According to a new study that used thermal cameras to track rodent activity, New York rats travel in packs of up to 20. It's great for safety, but it makes it a bitch to get dinner reservations. That was Brian. That's not his best work because they weren't loose rats. Today would have been Don Quixote author Miguel de Cervantes' 478th birthday, and he's still waiting for you to finish it. All right, so a couple things. Brian wrote that joke, and as much as I'd like to pile on Brian, we have two wonderful writer's assistants. Their names are Michael and Aileen, and every day they go through the news and they write setups to the jokes of the biggest news stories of the day. And I just want to take issue with them. Let's show them real quick. So they saw today would have been Miguel de Cervantes' 478th birthday. And they thought, we got to get that in front of our writing staff. Because again, they know, right? People, you have options at 12:37 at night. You're like, what show's gonna cover Miguel de Cervantes' 478th birthday? Not his birthday, what would have been. I just hope they learned their lesson. Today was singer Don McLean's 80th birthday. Michael, Aileen, the birthday gazette's here. Let's go back one, Wally. Today was singer Don McLean's 80th birthday, so just to be safe, he might want to stop singing, "This'll be the day that I die." All right, I'm glad, Matt, I'm glad you gave Matt a round of applause, because we're about to take it back. The fast food chain Panera yesterday released its new fall menu and brought back its black bean soup after a 7-year absence. It was doing a stint in the joint. That's not the worst part of that joke. So when the writers write a joke, then they'll often put a parenthetical and they'll describe what they want the punchline graphic to look like, right? So Matt thought, they were gone for 7 years, so black bean soup, it was in the joint. And then he wrote, and this is a graphics department. These are trained people who have to read this and take it seriously. He wrote, "Mock up black bean soup in prison weight room." Just like he thinks that'll be a breeze. I haven't seen this yet. Let's see what our incredible graphics department came up with. You're better than I thought. I mean, you know what? Because I was thinking of it still in the can. They're better. I'm glad you liked that one because I'm worried about this next one. It's a Scollins. It's a Scollins, and guess what? It's not the worst one. You'll think there's not going to be a worse one than this, and there's one coming after it. President Trump spoke at an event yesterday honoring the 250th anniversary of the Navy. Specifically, "I haven't seen this much semen since my friend was alive." No, again, we all like it. We all like it. We like to see the picture. We like to have our fun with the picture. I want to be like a grammar, you know what about this? Like he would have said, I haven't seen this many semen. But Scollins changed it to this much semen because, and we just, you know, you can have terrible taste and you can, walk all over our best intentions, but you can't mess with the grammar. Vice President J.D. Vance warned yesterday that federal workers will be laid off if the government shutdown continues. Wait, does that include the FCC? Well, this is going to be a fun show. Still not the worst one. Today was Charlie Brown's 75th birthday. And they celebrated with a new special. Today would have been former President Jimmy Carter's 101st birthday. It's a rule of fours. Well, do you think they ever celebrated together? Jimmy Carter, Don McLean, Charlie Brown, and Miguel de Cervantes? It's fun to imagine. Today would have been former President Jimmy Carter's 101st birthday had he only taken better care of himself. And finally, we know it's the Scollins, and we know it's the worst one. So prepare yourself. Turn off your groan switch. And finally, according to a new survey, 20% of dads said that they wish their child could live with them forever. And for a lucky few, it happens. This has been Surprise and Spectrum. We'll be right